In the town of Salisbury, North Carolina, a 30-year-old debate has been made anew. What have Salisburyans been focusing their attention on that has provoked a citywide debate? Could it be over sheriff salaries? Or maybe the new law on license plates? No. The center of this decades-old debate is none other than a bridge. The Schober Humpback Bridge dates as of a pre-Civil War construction, with the original structure being built in 1857. The Schober Humpback Bridge was named so after Colonel Schober, a nearby prominent resident of Salisbury, and by its humpback design. As shown by this 1882 map of the North Ward, the bridge is shown to be located across from Mr. Schober's property in the Ellis Street Graded School District. But the event that the Schober Bridge is most known for occurred during the Civil War. On April 12, 1865, General Stoneman crossed over Schober Bridge with his Union Army. The raid of Salisbury that followed resulted in the burning of all Confederate stores and buildings, including the infamous Confederate prison. Now that we have the history of the bridge, let's learn about this debate from those who took part. As Director of Historic Properties, what has been your role in these debates?
Well, I have two roles in this debate. One, I just live about 5 houses down, and I am co-president of the Ellis Graded School Historic District Neighborhood Association. So I represent the neighbors in this community in terms of their advocacy for this bridge. I also work with Historic Salisbury Foundation, and as Director of Historic Properties, this isn't a property, but it is a historic landmark. And wasn't the only one. The whole foundation worked towards the advocacy of this bridge. That's what our mission is. Our mission is to help protect historic properties and landmarks in Rowan County and the greater Salisbury area. So it's part of my job description to work in bringing awareness to the community of the historic significance of this bridge and other properties in the city.
So what is the current standing on the debate over the Schober Bridge?
The current status is the City Council voted to rehab this bridge in August. In around the 1st of December, they had another meeting where North Carolina asked them to reconsider the rehab option. They weren't really sure if any North Carolina Department of Transportation funds could be used for a rehab bridge, if that was a viable option. So the mayor now is having to meet with North Carolina Transportation to convince them that the rehab is an option that Salisbury can pick for the rehab of this bridge.
Who decides whether or not a structure is historic in value?
Well, first of all, probably the most significant deciding factor of this was that in 1999, a gentleman did the research, David Ford did the research, and he went through this neighborhood property by property, and he researched the significance of each one of these homes. There's probably 50, 60 homes in this community, and he looked at when it was built, what were who built them, who lived in them originally, and this bridge was also one of the as a landmark was researched too. So what he did after he researched the neighborhood, he gave it a name, and it's called Ellis Graded School Historic District. He labeled each one of these homes or structure as a contributing structure in this neighborhood, and they took it before the National Trust, the Preservation of the National Trust, national organization out of Washington, D.C. It is the organization in our country that determines the historic significance of all the national monuments, everything. And they determined that this was a contributing structure, and they placed it in its number 44 on the list, and they designated that this neighborhood was a nationally registered historic neighborhood and that this was a contributing structure.
So, what has been your role in the debates over the past years over the Shober Bridge?
Now, my role is to carry out the wishes of the City Council. City Council's role is to balance all the special interest groups and decide what's best for the community.
What exactly is your job entailing you to do right now?
My job is to carry out the wishes of the City Council. Now, for the beginning of this project, City Council's directions was work on a bridge replacement. And while that was my assigned duty, that's what I was doing. Recently, City Council has changed that, and now they want to rehabilitate the bridge. My job is now to pursue everything we have to do to rehabilitate the bridge. We do have a couple of what I will call interest groups. North Carolina Department of Transportation is interested in public infrastructure, and they have a common way of doing things. And their common way of doing things is to replace the bridge with a new bridge that's bigger and bolder and wider and in their mind safer. But DOT is not so accustomed to working within historic neighborhoods. On the other hand, Historic Salisbury Foundation is dedicated to historic preservation and protecting historic neighborhoods and protecting historic structures. And so they're very interested in preserving the bridge. My job is not to be an advocate for either one until City Council tells me to be an advocate for one or the other. But my job is to go out and get all the information that City Council needs to make their decision.
What really has been the controversy over the bridge about?
Controversy would be the competing interests of providing your standard public services, like the ability to get a fire truck to the other side of the railroad tracks, with the public interest of protecting historic properties, which in Salisbury is a very important issue.
All right. So, what other factors have played a major influence in City Council's decision?
Our funding comes from the Federal Highway Administration through the North Carolina Department of Transportation and then to us. North Carolina DOT has been acting as an advisor to us because they're accustomed to replacing bridges, they're accustomed to spending this money. But what they're not accustomed to is this much attention to historic preservation. So the advice that we've been getting from them has been kind of one-sided. Then the response that we get from the historic preservation interest is equally one-sided, but on the opposite side, and that leads a lot to the controversy. Another factor that's really influenced things here is the railroad, because we're building this bridge over their railroad. We have to have their permission to build over the railroad, and the question is, do we have to build the bridge as they want it built, which would be longer and have more effect on the historic neighborhood, or can we negotiate with them, or can we force them to accept something less than what they really want?
It's not just the officials taking part in advocating rehabilitation of the bridge, but regular Salisburyans as well. Signs like these are set up in people's yards, all around the district, showing the support that the public gives toward the preservation of history.